The stars above Earth glowed silently, but on the surface, silence had shattered. An emergency transmission blinked across the Global Space Council's screens. The sender was not human. The seal of Valtheris flashed red. The voice that followed was deep, heavy with authority. "This is King Theron of Valtheris. My daughter Soraya is dying. We request medical help, specifically from a human doctor." Gasps filled the council chamber. Advisors exchanged sharp glances. Valtheris had been Earth's enemy for over 20 years. Their war had left cities in ruins. Millions had died on both sides. Now, that same enemy was asking for help. And not just any help. Human help. The room filled with angry voices. "Trap! How dare they? Let her die." But one man, sitting quietly in the back, didn't speak. Dr. Elijah Ward leaned forward and replayed the message. He hadn't worn a white coat in years. Once, he was Earth's finest trauma surgeon. Now, he lived alone in a dusty cabin near the polar mountains. No patients, no hospitals, no future. He had lost everything. His wife, his child. Both died on his operating table, and he had walked away from medicine, promising never to return. But something in the alien king's voice pulled at him. Not pride, not duty, something deeper. A silent cry from a father watching his daughter fade. The next morning, Elijah made a call. "Just one. I'll do it," he said. But no politics, only medicine. The alien ship arrived 3 days later. It was black, shaped like a blade, and silent as it landed. As Elijah approached, soldiers in silver armor surrounded him. He showed no fear. He carried only a medical case and a worn photo of his wife. Inside the ship, the air was cold and dry. Alien technology pulsed with soft green light. An AI voice greeted him, flat and emotionless. "Human doctor, welcome aboard the Veil of Honor. You will be escorted to the Royal Med Chamber." 2 guards walked ahead. Neither spoke. Neither looked at him. Elijah noticed their hands resting on their weapons. He was not trusted. He wasn't here as a hero. He was a last option. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Stars blurred past the windows. In the silence, Elijah closed his eyes. He remembered the last time he had held a patient's hand, the warmth fading, the flat line, the screaming, his hands trembling. Now, another life was in his hands, but this one, not even human. As the journey continued, whispers spread across the ship. Some of the crew did not want a human near the princess. Rumors twisted in the shadows. Some said humans brought death. Others said the princess's illness was caused by Earth itself. Elijah ignored them. He spent hours studying alien biology, files, reading, comparing, searching, but something didn't add up. Their records showed no disease like this, no natural cause, no genetic trail, just decay. Rapid and cruel. Finally, the guards led him to the med-chamber. The door hissed open. Warm light spilled out. Elijah stepped inside. There she lay. Princess Soraya, the daughter of the king, the hope of a planet. She looked nothing like the terrifying warriors Earth remembered from war. Her skin was pale, violet, glowing softly under the lights. Her hair, silver and braided with gold strands, spread over the bed like spilled moonlight. Her chest rose weakly, her breathing shallow. Monitors blinked in strange alien scripts. Her body was shutting down, but her eyes opened. They were bright, almost human in their sadness. And in a soft, broken voice, she whispered, "Are you the human?" Elijah nodded, stepping closer. He said nothing. He set down his case, opened it, prepared to work, not as a hero, not as a savior, but as a doctor, somewhere in the shadows beyond. The chamber, someone watched. A silent figure with a hidden face. Their hands pressed buttons. A new message sent. "The human has arrived. Begin the plan." Inside the chamber, Elijah placed his hand on Soraya's wrist. Her pulse was fading, but he had felt that pulse before. In war, in hospitals, in nightmares. And he had one thought. Not this time. Inside the royal med-chamber. Time seemed frozen. Dr. Elijah Ward stood by Princess Soraya's bed, quietly watching the slow rhythm of her breath. Her skin, once radiant with alien vitality, had dimmed to a sickly shade. Her chest rose and fell, like waves fading on a dying shore. He scanned the monitors again. Symbols blinked across the screen, foreign and unreadable. But patterns, patterns, were universal. He could see it. She wasn't just sick. She was dying fast. He moved quickly, drawing blood samples, analyzing tissue under the ship's medical scanners. The results confused him. Every system in her body was breaking down, but there was no clear cause. Not bacteria, not a virus, not even a known genetic disorder. This wasn't nature. This was design. He turned to the ship's AI assistant, a soft-voiced unit named Vega. "Has anyone else run full diagnostics?" he asked. "Yes," Vega replied. 4 royal physicians, 3 alien specialists. All concluded it was incurable. "Show me their files." She did. Elijah read through the reports. All were too clean, too perfect, no conflict, no questions, and that told him something was very wrong. Later that evening, the door to the chamber opened. Commander Relock entered, a tall figure in crimson armor, scarred, cold, dash-eyed. He stared at Elijah with silent hatred. "I know why you're here," human Relock said. "And I don't trust your hands on her body." "I'm not here for your trust," Elijah replied. "I'm here to save her." "Don't be too proud," the commander growled. "She is royalty. You are a relic of war." Elijah didn't answer. He had no time for pride. As the commander left, Soraya stirred. Her eyes opened again. She looked at Elijah. "You argued with him," she said softly. "Yes. He doesn't like me." "No. One on this ship does." Her voice cracked. "I'm the only one who asked for a human." "Why?" he asked. "Why me?" She stared at the ceiling, then whispered, "Because I read your papers, before the war." She paused. "You once said, a life is a life, even when it comes from another world." Elijah blinked. He had written those words in a forgotten journal, long ago, before he lost everything. The silence between them was different now. Not heavy, not cold, but familiar. He sat beside her. They spoke of Earth, of oceans, of sunsets. She told him how Veltheris had no real sky, only metal and glass, and silence. "I've never heard thunder," she said. "Is it frightening?" "No," Elijah replied. "It sounds like the world remembering how to speak." A small smile touched her lips as the hours passed. She asked about his past. He hesitated, then told her about his wife Mira, about the surgery that went wrong, about the screams, the silence, the guilt. Soraya listened. No judgment, only understanding. "You left medicine because you lost someone," she said. "And now you're trying again, because you won't lose me." He looked at her. She was right, and that scared him more than anything. Just then, the lights flickered, the chamber dimmed. Vega's voice turned sharp. "Security breach detected. Outer door lock disabled." Elijah stood. He grabbed a surgical laser. A shadow moved at the entrance. The door creaked open. A figure stepped in, masked, silent, armed. Elijah didn't hesitate. He stepped between the attacker and Soraya. His hands didn't shake this time. The intruder moved forward, then stopped. Red alarms flashed across the hallway. Guards rushed in. The figure escaped into the shadows. Elijah turned to Soraya. Her breathing was fast, her skin even paler. "Why would someone want you dead?" he asked. She didn't answer. She only looked at the ceiling again, then whispered, I think the enemy isn't from Earth. In the lab hours later, Elijah looked at her blood under magnification. He froze. Floating inside were tiny black particles. Not natural, not alien. Nanobots. Self-replicating. Targeted. Designed to kill from the inside. This wasn't an illness. It was a weapon, and someone aboard this ship had planted it in her. The air inside the lab was still. Dr. Elijah Ward stared at the screen. The microscope showed what no alien doctor had seen, or what they refused to admit. Tiny black machines, sharp like shards of glass, nanobots, designed to destroy the body. From the inside, smart enough to avoid detection, slow enough to make death look natural. Elijah stepped back. His heart beat faster. This wasn't an illness. It was an attack. He downloaded the data into his personal drive, then moved fast. He had to show someone. The first person he thought of was Commander Relock, not because he trusted him, but because Relock had the king's ear. Elijah found the commander near the ship's war deck. Soldiers stood in formation, blades on their backs, cold stares on their faces. Relock turned when he saw the human. What now? He asked sharply. Elijah held out the tablet. She's not sick, he said. She's being murdered. Relock narrowed his eyes. Elijah continued. There are now in her bloodstream. Human tech fused with alien design. This is synthetic, engineered. Someone inside this ship is killing her slowly. Relock stared at the data, then shook his head. This proves nothing. Your people would say anything to gain our trust. You want to make us look weak. Elijah took a step closer. If I wanted her dead, I wouldn't be risking my life to save her. Guards reached for their weapons. Relock raised his hand. Enough. He looked at Elijah one last time, then said, You will stay confined to the medical bay until further notice. Elijah didn't argue, but inside, anger burned. They weren't just ignoring the truth. They were hiding from it. Back in the med bay, Soraya was awake, weak, pale, but her eyes followed him. What did they say? She asked softly. Elijah sat beside her and whispered, They don't want to believe me. They think I'm the enemy. Her voice trembled. They always fear what they don't control. He reached into his coat and pulled out his data drive. I'll find a way. I'll prove it. For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the soft beeping of her heart monitor remained. Then Soraya spoke again. Elijah, ... Do you believe someone on this ship wants me dead? He looked into her eyes. There was no way to soften the truth. Yes. Her fingers gripped his sleeve. I don't want to die alone. You're not alone. Outside the med bay, someone was listening. A quiet figure, cloaked in shadows. They heard every word. Hours later, while Elijah studied samples, the power flickered again. The temperature dropped. Vega, the ship's AI, sounded an alarm. Security override. Lockdown initiated. Doors slammed shut. Elijah rushed to Soraya. The chamber's life support system blinked red. The toxin was spreading faster. The net had been triggered. It was no longer a slow death. It had become execution. Elijah opened his case. His hands moved with purpose. He had one prototype Earth serum left, unapproved. Risky. He looked at Soraya. Her skin was turning cold. Her breath came in gasps. I can't ask for your permission, he whispered, but I can't lose you either. He injected the serum directly into her chest. The monitors spiked. Her body shook, her back arched. She gasped. Then, silence. The monitor, FLATLINE. Elijah froze. No. He reached for paddles, charged them, pressed them to her chest. Come on, Soraya, stay with me. He shocked her again. Still, flatline. He looked into her lifeless face, eyes closed. No movement then. One beep. Then another. The screen came back to life. Her fingers twitched. Her chest rose slowly. Her eyes opened. Elijah, ... she whispered. He sank into the chair beside her. His voice shook. You scared me. I saw stars, ... she said faintly. Then I saw your face. He smiled softly. You're not done yet? But in the shadows outside, the saboteur watched through the glass. They turned away and disappeared into the dark. This wasn't over. It had just begun. Later that night, Elijah received a message. No name, no sender, just one line. She will not survive a second time. Leave now, or die with her. The royal med chamber was quiet again. Too quiet. Dr. Elijah Ward sat alone, staring at the monitors. The serum had worked. Barely Princess Soraya was alive, but only just. Her body was still fragile. The nanobots were damaged, not destroyed. They would adapt, and if they did, they would finish what they started. Vega, the ship's AI, floated above the console as a blue light. Her voice was calm, but urgent. Dr. Ward, unauthorized code has been detected in the medical logs. Someone has accessed your treatment files. Elijah's eyes narrowed. Who? Unknown. The trace ends inside the royal network. He stood up. That meant it was someone with power. Someone trusted. Someone close to the king. He turned back to Soraya. She was sleeping, her body still healing. Her breathing was steadier now. Even in sickness, there was strength in her face. A quiet fire behind her closed eyes. Hours passed. Elijah worked without rest. He scanned every corner of her blood. He mapped every movement of the nanobots. They were shrinking, changing. Some were going dormant, others disappearing. But where? Then Vega showed him something strange. Some of the nanobots were not disintegrating. They were migrating, moving deeper into her nervous system. This wasn't just a killing machine. It was evolving, and if he didn't stop it now, they wouldn't just shut down her body. They'd shut down her mind. He needed help, but there was no one to trust. Until Soraya spoke. I know someone, she whispered. Her voice was soft, but clear. There's one person who might believe you. She gave him a name, Captain Mira Kale, a former royal scientist, banned from the palace after warning of corruption. Elijah left Soraya under Vega's watch. He found Mira in the ship's engineering deck, surrounded by broken droids. She looked older than the rest, wiser, wounded. When Elijah showed her the data, she went pale. I warned them this would happen, she said. They called me a traitor. Help me stop it, Elijah said. She nodded. Together, they worked in secret, analyzing the nanobots. Finding weaknesses, they discovered something terrifying. The bots had a command signal, a master frequency, which meant someone was controlling them from inside the ship. Meanwhile, Soraya was recovering slowly. She spent more time awake, more time with Elijah. They shared stories. She told him about the twin moons of Valtheris. He told her about the quiet snowfalls of Earth's north. They listened to music from both worlds. And once, she asked him to teach her an Earth lullaby. He sang it badly, but it made her laugh, and for a moment, it felt like peace, like something real could grow between them. But peace never lasts long in the shadows of betrayal. That night, a coded signal reached Relax quarters. A message from the Council of Blades. Initiate Phase 2. Ensure the human does not live to see the truth. Relux read the message. He clenched his jaw, then opened a hidden panel inside his wall. Inside was a small black orb, a silent bomb. Set for 24 hours. Back in the med bay, Elijah worked with Myra and Vega to build a counteragent. It wasn't easy. The bots were reacting faster than expected. Time was running out. But there was a breakthrough. One weakness in the bot's code. A sequence hidden deep inside, an override command. If activated, it could shut them down. But the injection would be dangerous. Too strong. It could stop the bots, or it could stop Soraya's heart. Elijah brought the news to her. She looked into his eyes. Tired. Afraid. But not weak. Do it, she said. If I die, at least it's my choice. He took her hand. I didn't save you once, just to lose you now. She smiled faintly. If I go, will you sing again? He blinked back the weight in his chest. I will, but not tonight. He prepared the injector, checked every dose, monitored every signal. The moment he pressed the trigger, her body shook violently. The lights flickered. The nanobot screamed inside the scanners. Vega's voice cut through the noise. They're shutting down. It's working. Then silence. Eyes slowly opened. She was breathing. Steady. Elijah collapsed into the chair beside her, tired, but relieved. She had made it for now, but in the bowels of the ship, the black orb continued to count down. 1 day left, until everything exploded, including the truth. Relax stood in the control tower, watching the stars. Behind him, a junior officer asked, Sir, if the princess survives, what then? Rilak didn't answer. He simply smiled, and said, Then we kill the truth before it speaks. The royal ship, Veil of Honor, drifted silently through deep space. Outside stars shimmered. Inside, tension burned like a slow fire. Dr. Elijah Ward stood at the edge of Princess Soraya's bed. Her eyes were clearer now. Her skin had color again. The worst was over. But peace was a lie. Elijah knew it. So did she. The nanobots had been shut down, but not by accident. They had been commanded. From somewhere inside the ship, someone close to her had tried to end her life. Someone powerful. And they were still watching. As Soraya slowly sat up, she looked around the med chamber. Everything feels different, she whispered, like the walls are listening. They are, Elijah replied. Someone wants you gone, but I won't let that happen. Her gaze softened. I believe you. No one else did. Not yet, but the truth was moving. And truth is like fire. Once it spreads, it consumes everything. Later, Elijah and Soraya walked together through the ship's lower gardens. They were hidden beneath layers of metal and war steel, but light shone through artificial suns. Trees grew in silence. It was the one place that still felt ... peaceful. She spoke first. I used to come here as a child. I would pretend the leaves were singing. Elijah smiled gently. I used to hide in hospitals, behind curtain walls, pretending I wasn't afraid. She turned to him. We've both been pretending for too long. They stopped walking. Her hand brushed his. Just for a second, no words, no promises. But something real passed between them, a spark, warm, human, hopeful. That evening, Soraya asked to speak to her father. She stood before King Theron, with steady legs and fire in her voice. I want you to listen. Not as a king, but as a father. Theron raised an eyebrow. Speak, daughter. The human saved me, when no one else could. You owe him your trust. He looked at Elijah with cold eyes. I owe humans nothing, especially not trust. Soraya stepped forward. You owe me the truth. Someone inside this ship ordered my death, and I don't believe you were the one. The king said nothing, but something in his jaw tightened. You will return to your chambers, he said. This is not your place. She turned away without bowing, and left the throne room, with Elijah at her side. The alien media caught the moment. Cameras flashed. News beams spun wild stories. The princess walks with the human. Alien royalty betrays bloodline. Human seduction, or alien treason. The palace buzzed with anger. Even some of Soraya's personal guard refused to escort her, but she did not hide. Not anymore. She slept in the medical wing, a symbol of defiance. And quietly, a symbol of something more. Elijah and Soraya grew closer each day, not just through pain, but through small things. They played music. They shared meals. He told her Earth jokes. She told him ancient Veltheran poems. One night, under dim lights, she leaned toward him. Do you ever think the war never ended? Elijah nodded. Not for people like us. Not in here. He pointed to his chest. She touched his hand. Then maybe it's time we end it. Even if it's just for us. He said nothing, but he didn't move away. Outside the chamber, guards passed by, and one paused. He spoke softly into a wristcom. They're together. It's time. In the deepest deck of the ship, Commander Relax stood beside the bomb. The black orb pulsed softly. He placed his hand on it. A red light scanned his palm, activated. 20 hours. He looked up at his soldiers. Contain the king. Take the girl alive. Kill the human if necessary. No hesitation, no remorse. Only orders. The coup had begun. Back in the medbay alarms, blared Vega's voice rang out, sharp and cold. Security breach. Palace under assault. Doors slammed. Guards stormed the halls. Elijah grabbed Soraya's arm. We have to move. They ran through twisting corridors. He knew the ship better now. He had studied its maps, memorized exits. They reached the emergency lift, but it was sealed. Vega spoke again. All royal access codes revoked. This unit is locked down. Soraya looked at him. Where do we go? Elijah took a breath. Down, into the underdecks. If we're lucky, we find a way to fight back. She nodded, and for the first time, there was no fear in her eyes, just strength and trust. As they vanished into the shadows, the palace fell into chaos. Guards loyal to the king clashed with rebels. Theron was seized in his throne room. The crown was torn from his head. Relax stood above him and spoke coldly. The future belongs to those who control it, not those who beg humans for help. Theron smiled, even in chains. Then you fear him more than you admit. Rilak didn't respond. He simply ordered the search to begin. Find the girl. Kill the human. In a hidden tunnel, lit only by flickering blue lights, Elijah held Soraya's hand. She gripped it. Tight, he whispered. They've declared war. She looked up at him. Then we give them a reason to regret it. Darkness swallowed the lower decks of the ship. Pipes hissed steam. Lights flickered like dying stars. Elijah and Soraya moved quietly through the metal corridors. She kept close to him, her breaths shallow, but steady. He held her hand firmly, never letting go. Behind them, the ship was burning in silence. The throne had fallen. The king was in chains, and Relax's coup was complete. But the human doctor and the alien princess had not been captured. Not yet. They reached a small maintenance room. Elijah closed the door behind them. It sealed with a quiet hiss. Soraya sat down, her body still recovering. The treatment had saved her life, but she was far from strong. Elijah knelt in front of her. Are you in pain? She shook her head. No, not from the serum. She looked into his eyes. But everything else? Yes. There was silence, and in that stillness, something passed between them again, unspoken. Real Dot, she reached out, placed her hand gently on his cheek. You could run, Elijah. You could leave this ship, leave me, and save yourself. I could, he said softly, but I won't. He took her hand and kissed her palm. You're not just my patient anymore. You're my reason to fight. Hours passed. Together, they worked with Vega to access the ship's inner systems. The AI's code had been locked down, but not completely. Elijah connected his tablet to her core drive. Miracle had left them a backdoor access key. It was dangerous, but it was their only chance. Vega's voice flickered into life. Dr. Ward, I am partially restored. I can offer limited access to Relax movements and secure logs. Elijah nodded. Show me everything. What they saw shattered any last hope of peace. Rilak had been planning this for years. Private transmissions, secret weapons, fabricated medical records. The nanobots were part of a larger plan. He had infected Soraya to create the illusion of weakness, then blamed Earth in secret meetings with the military elite. With the king removed, Relok would declare, or he would tell his people, that Earth had attempted a royal assassination. And now, only revenge would restore honor. It wasn't just murder. It was manipulation. It was genocide in the making. Soraya covered her mouth, tears welled in her eyes. My people, they'll believe it. They'll follow him. Not if we show them the truth, Elijah said. But for that, we'll need to reach the broadcast deck. Soraya looked up. That's 10 levels above, guarded, locked, almost impossible to reach. He smiled gently, almost with Vega, guiding them through unused access tunnels. Elijah and Soraya made their way upward. The ship trembled. Relaxed men had found the king's remaining loyalists. Fighting raged in hidden corners. Smoke filled the air. Cries echoed through the steel halls. Elijah and Soraya moved in silence. Then Soraya stopped. She looked at him. You said I'm not just your patient anymore? He met her gaze. You're not? Then what am I to you? He didn't answer with words. He stepped closer, took her face in his hands, and kissed her. Not as a doctor, not as a soldier, but as a man who had finally found something worth holding on to. When they parted, she smiled. I thought humans were slow with emotions. He laughed under his breath. We are, but I'm learning fast. Just as they reached the upper halls, an alarm blared. Vega's voice turned sharp. Warning. Bomb countdown, entering final hour. Detonation will destroy 3 core decks, including the medical bay and broadcast tower. Soraya's eyes widened. The bomb. It's real, and it's close, Elijah said. They ran. The clock was ticking. Relak's lies were tightening like a noose around the galaxy. But Elijah Ward, the broken doctor who once walked away from life, was now running straight into fire. They reached the broadcast tower just as guards arrived. Relak's men raised their weapons. Soraya stepped in front of Elijah. No, she said firmly. They'll shoot. But Elijah raised a hand. Wait. He turned toward the guards. I have something to show you. Not just for her, for all of you. He pulled the tablet from his coat, projected the files into the air. Videos, messages, nanobot blueprints, Relak's voice, captured by Vega. His plans, his orders, his treason. The guards froze, their weapons lowered. One of them, younger than the rest, spoke softly. Is this real? Soraya stepped forward. Yes. He would have started a war with Earth, and let me die to do it. Silence. Then the young soldier removed his helmet, and knelt. For Valtheris, he said. For truth, one by one, the others followed. Elijah turned to Soraya. It's working. They believe you, she whispered. They believe us. But high above, in the command chamber, Relak watched. His face twisted in fury. His fingers slammed the override. The bomb was now set to explode in 15 minutes. He turned to his officers. Seal the deck. Kill the broadcast. Kill them both. Inside, the broadcast tower, as Soraya prepared to speak to the galaxy. Elijah noticed the timer blinking red. He looked at Vega. If we don't stop the bomb, none of this matters. Vega answered quietly. There's one way, but you won't survive it. Elijah looked toward Soraya. She was already recording. Her voice calm, her heart on fire. He took a breath and whispered to himself. Then let me die doing something that matters. The broadcast tower shook. Smoke filled the air. Lights flickered. Red alarms screamed through every corridor of the ship. Elijah Ward stood frozen, eyes locked on the countdown. 11 minutes. That was all they had before the bomb erased everything. Not just the tower, not just the truth, but Soraya, and the future she was trying to save. Vega's voice echoed softly in the chamber. There is a manual override in the reactor core. It will stop the detonation, but it requires direct contact with the control node. and one vital cost life energy. Elijah didn't ask what that meant. He already knew. At the center of the tower, Princess Soraya stood before the galaxy. The broadcast was live. Millions of Eltherans watched. So did Earth. So did every neutral world between. Her voice was steady, her eyes full of strength. My name is Soraya Theron, daughter of the king, and I am alive today because of a human, a man who crossed the stars, not to conquer, but to heal. She paused, her hands trembling slightly. Relok poisoned me. He used fear to seize the throne. And he will lie to you, as he lied to me. But I am no longer afraid of the truth, because I have seen what a human can do when they choose love over war, and I choose him. The crowd across planets did not cheer. Yet, they listened, held their breath. She wasn't done. I choose peace, not because I am weak, but because I am strong enough to believe in something better. The broadcast ended. Soraya turned around to speak to Elijah, but he was gone. Elijah sprinted down steel corridors lit by flashing red lights. The reactor core was 4 decks below. Every second counted. He passed fallen guards, fires, collapsed beams. Inside, everything screamed at him to stop. But one thought pushed him forward. Craya. She had saved him, not with medicine, but with belief. Now, it was his turn. Inside the command deck, Relok watched the broadcast collapse. He saw soldiers removing his banner from the wall. He saw officers dropping their weapons. The lie had failed. The truth had broken his war. Relok roared in fury, then stormed toward the core. One last chance. If he couldn't control the people, he would erase the proof. Elijah reached the reactor chamber. Vega guided him to the heart of the machine. He climbed the ladder, reached the top, and saw the glowing control node. Place your hand on the panel, Vega said. But understand, this will cost everything you are. Elijah looked down. No fear, only peace. Just tell her I tried. He placed his hand on the core. White light surged through him. His body shook, but he did not scream. He thought of his wife, his daughter, Soraya's laughter, her soft voice, her eyes when she smiled, and then silence. The countdown stopped. 1 second left. Back in the tower, Soraya heard the alarms fall quiet. The lights turned blue. The ship stabilized. She turned to Vega. Where is he? Vega's voice was soft. He is at peace. Soraya ran. Through the halls. Down the decks. Past the smoke. Past the wounded. She reached the reactor doors. Guards tried to stop her. She pushed them aside. Inside, Elijah's body lay against the core, still silent, his hand frozen to the panel, a faint smile on his face. Soraya fell to her knees. Tears dropped on the floor beside him. She clutched his hand. No, she whispered. Please, don't leave me. No answer, but the ship hummed softly, warm, alive. Her voice cracked. You were supposed to stay. Behind her, footsteps approached. The King Theron had broken free from his cell. He stood quietly beside his daughter. For the first time, no crown, only a father. He placed his hand on her shoulder. He saved you. He saved us all. She turned to him. I loved him, I know, Theron said, and I will never forget his name. Later, the galaxy would speak of Elijah Ward as more than a doctor, more than a human. They called him the Bridge, the Spark, the Healer of War. His name became legend, his story, a light in the dark. And Soraya, she became queen, not with power, but with grace. She visited Earth, walked through snow for the first time, planted trees where there was once only ash, and every year she returned to the place he once stood to whisper a song, the one he sang for her, the one that saved her life. And in the stars above, they said you could still hear it, soft, steady, a heartbeat, human, eternal.